weekend, I basically like finished writing my thesis. What? But I was surprised that it only had 108 pages, excluding the front matter, and 20 pages of those were references. And so I thought that I would talk today about reference management. So I use Mendeley. Some other options are like Zotero, which is also free. So Mendeley's free, Zotero's free, and no, you have to pay for. But anyway, these are reference managers, and they help you like keep track of all those various papers that you cite, and then put in your references. And they make it really easy to put in those references and search for them. As well as like keep the papers organized and everything so you can find them. So they're really helpful. So today I wanted to show you how I use Mendeley, and also like some other tools for trying to like find the good references to use, because it's not always easy. There's this tool called Cite that I like to use. It's another free tool, although like there's some things that you have to pay for, like so our institution has like a subscription so we can do some more of the like search things. But you can also do a lot of it with the free version. But anyway, because you want to find like, you don't want to just like, I don't just have 20 pages of references in there just to be like, oh look, I found, like, I know a ton or whatever. But you actually want to have meaningful references, and you want to actually have at least like skimmed over those papers. Like you don't never just like cite something without like actually looking at it. That's a no-no. But anyway, so I want to try to tell you a little about how you can go about finding, saving articles, some like word integration stuff where you can make your bibliographies or your works cited, and that sort of thing. And yeah, so let's talk. There's like a couple of main ways you can use it. So there's like the Mendeley desktop, and then there's like the online version, the web version. And so this here, you sync between them. So you can use either, like, and you can use them at the same time, and that sort of thing. The other thing is, this, what's really helpful is this Mendeley importer. So this, if you're on a page with an article, so if you're like on this article page, if I click on this Mendeley importer, so this is, you can just Google search Mendeley or whatever. So this is all free. And you can download this, like, so this is a Chrome extension I have because I'm using Chrome right now, but they might have it for other browsers, I'm not sure. But anyway, I can then click on the article. So this is the article here, but you can also add articles that this paper cites and that sort of thing. So if I click on this, then I can add it and it'll download it to my library. And if I click the option to like, I have it set so that it'll also download the PDF if it's available. So this is really helpful. So you see here, this on the top, it says like there are 4 articles on this page with PubPeer comments. So I also have a PubPeer browser extension. So PubPeer I've talked about a little before, but it's like this site where anybody can raise comments about papers, and so it's often things of like comments of concern, but not always. So I just like to be able to look and see if an article has comments that I might need to take a look at. So this is showing that there's articles on this page with comments, so it's not this article itself though. So that's one thing you want to be notice is that it's not like saying it's about this article itself. But you can see there's all these different sources and that sort of thing. And so when you're writing your thesis especially, you often have to go back to like the original sources, which can be really hard. And so a way that you can help find those sources that I found really useful is I have this tool called like Cite. So this is another browser extension I put on here. And then when I go and click on it, I can see where this article has been cited in other places. But another thing that's really helpful is it shows you like the number of citations. So the way this thing works is like the green check, it's like people like supporting the article. Like we've also found this similar thing. This is just, it was mentioning it. A question mark is if someone's found like contrasting results or whatever. And so with the, at least with the paid version, you can then see where it was cited, and then you can filter to see the different things. But another really useful thing is that you see the number of citations. So you don't want to just like go by the number of citations when you are like trying to find good articles or that sort of thing. But often if a paper has a ton of citations, it's because it was like the first to discover something or something important, or because it's like a method that people use a lot, or because it's a review article people use a lot. So you can see that this paper here, this is like where Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna announced their like CRISPR discovery. And so you can see it has like 8,000 something citations, which tells you that it's probably like an important article to at least take a look at. And it turns out that this is like so cited because it was like their discovery. You also see that, so here is a review article by Jennifer Doudna and her colleagues, and it also has a lot of citations, but this one's a review article. So review articles also get a lot of citations because people already did like all the review work, and because they so it's often people cite review articles in lieu of citing the original findings. So the review articles are basically citing a bunch of stuff. And so when you're doing like your thesis writing and that sort of thing, you want to then go and find those original articles, rather than actually just citing the review article. And so you're going to be using the references, going to a lot of different references. So when you click on the references, thankfully everything these days when they're like online and stuff, everything's like hyperlinked, so you can then go find the various articles. So sometimes what's annoying is that it like takes you to a new page. So it depends, like some like journal websites will take you to like the bottom of this page to the reference section. Some will take you to like a different page. Some will take you like all various places when you click on one of these things. So just be careful of that. And then so often, usually what I'll do is I'll like open it in a new tab. And because I have Cite, I can also then go to the report for this there. So basically you end up going through all of these different sites, and then you need to like keep track of all of these papers. And so this is where your reference management software really comes in handy. And so like I said, I use this reference, this Mendeley. So there's some terminology that it's not too bad, don't worry. But so each article, when you download it, it's information, it has metadata attached to it. So basically that's like the year, that sort of thing. The year, the journal, the pages, the authors. So if I go to that article, so let's, so we'll go, I had this one already in my library this was like one of my grad school courses on structural biology. And so this is already in my library, and it's this one. Oh wait, no, wait, look, this one. Okay, the Cas9 complex one. So okay, it's this article. So where they were showing like how the structural basis for how Cas9 was organized to recognize the target DNA. So and then like for like editing and stuff. So it's really important because it helps understand how things are happening at the structural level. So you can see it has all of this like metadata or whatever. So it has like journal name, year, stuff, and it also has identifiers. So like the DOI, so that's the digital object identifier. So that's like its permanent like online residence type thing. PubMed ID, IBSN or whatever, various things, as well as the citation key. So citation keys, is for like bibtex entries. And so if you're using LaTeX, so I did a post on this before. When you're using LaTeX for your citations, when you cite things, you actually citing like based on that tag. So it's not as bad as it sounds, don't worry, and you can go to that LaTeX post if you're interested in that. But that's what the citation key is. So sometimes it'll be missing metadata or whatever. So like when you first download it, depending on where you download it from and that sort of thing, so maybe if you download it from PubMed instead of from the original place or whatever, the metadata can be kind of, it can be missing various things like the year or something. So what you can do to try to find it is if you like look up metadata by DOI, now it's going to update that. So if there was anything that was missing or that was wrong or whatever, it would then update it. So you can also, I haven't done anything with this paper, but if I wanted to, because right now I don't have the PDF, I can attach the PDF. Okay, well that was a bad example because I couldn't attach it. But apparently I already had it. So if I wanted to now, I could like make annotations and I can highlight and do notes and that sort of thing. But I haven't really used Mendeley much for that, but you can. I use it more just for the references. So right now I've been showing you things in the web version, but you can also do the same things with the desktop version. So that the web importer is one way to add references, but it's not the only way. So you can also like you can add files from your computer. You could add manually. So if you just stick in like the name or that sort of thing, sometimes it can find it for you. Sometimes you can just add all of it for it. So yeah, so if you have like the DOI or the PubMed ID or whatever, you can stick it in here and search for it. Or you can just enter things manually if you only have that. You can also make like sub libraries and organize things in various ways. And so then you end up with all these references. So another thing to keep in mind, this one is missing some metadata because it doesn't say what it's published in. So if we were to then look up the DOI, will it update it? Look up succeeded. And now it's showing it was published in Science. So that's how you can then do that sort of thing. Sometimes you'll run into the problem where it'll have, because the metadata might be wrong for one of them or something, or one of them had different spelling of a word or something, it'll end up having multiple of the same article. And so sometimes it'll like recognize that and say, these seem similar, do you want to merge them? If they don't, you can then like merge documents like this. These are different documents, so I wouldn't want to do that. But you could if you wanted to merge documents that are the same, or like, so maybe you have one version where you had downloaded the PDF and then you didn't realize it was already in your library and you downloaded it again, but that one is not the PDF or whatever, or one was a preprint. So basically you can just merge the documents this way, and that's really helpful. So that's how you like do stuff with these libraries. But so now that you have these libraries, what are you going to do with all those papers? And so one thing is that it's really helpful just to have those papers and have those references there. So maybe you're thinking like, oh, I know I read something one time about this thing, and I don't remember where I read it or whatever. And so here you can like search for various things with various terms, years. You can sort everything. So basically, if you come across an article that you read, basically I always just like add it to my library. So maybe I don't add the PDF itself, but I add just like the citation maybe in like my others folder or something. So it doesn't hog up space in my like core libraries, but I can, if I then think, oh, I know I read something somewhere, then I can actually go back and see what I read where. So I also keep notes on the important papers that I read. I'm in like a different place, like in my lab notebook, instead of in Mendeley, but you could also make notes in Mendeley. So now we want to actually like use these when we're citing things. So now we get to this is when some of the terminology I meant to discuss before, but there's some different terms that we can use when we discuss like citations. So there's like works cited and references. I'm not exactly sure what the difference between those are, but with a bibliography, that's like things that you like read or whatever, even that helped you with it, even if you didn't like cite them explicitly in the text in like an in-text citation. So an in-text citation is when you have like some sentence and then you have like parentheses and then the authors, or you have a like a number for the various papers. So different journals do it different ways. So some journals will have like small numbers at the end, so the references. Some will actually do it like year date. So sometimes it depends on the journal, and sometimes it depends on like the field or whatever. So some fields will do it more like they'll tend to do more like author year, or that sort of thing. And so the great thing about Mendeley is that you can then format it how you want to when you do your works cited. You can add it in different ways. And so let's take a look in Word. So if I were to do blah blah blah, and then I want to, let's cite that programmable DNA, this one. And so if I wanted to like look up, so the first author is Citing. So if I were to be in my Word, then I can do references, insert or edit citation, and then I put in Citing, and here we go. And if I wanted to put in multiple references, I could do that too. So let's put in, it looked like there were additional Citing ones, so let's just put in another Citing one. And so here, okay, so now we have two. Okay, so I don't know why it does that sometimes, but okay, so right now I have it set to cite in this style. So if I were to set it in like a different style, now it'll do things differently. Oh, right now it's like all the same, but there we go. Okay, so here, so it has like some built-in styles, and then you can also get more styles. I also, if you're using LaTeX, you can do like custom styles that I could describe more in that other post that I have. There's this like website called, or custom bib or whatever, and you can format it to whatever your thesis or whatever needs. So right here, see, so before we had those like numbers, and now we have year date and that sort of thing. And so these are like in-text citations. Here, so now we need, if we wanted to do like a bibliography, so they just call it a bibliography, but it's like, it can also be like a works cited or whatever. And so then when you press that at the end of your article, it'll put those in there. And then you can base it on different styles and that sort of thing to get the formatting in the way that is what's needed for whatever your particular project is. And so it's really easy to now keep track of all of these references and put in these references. What's really great too is that if you're doing something that is, so if it's like in that numbered format or whatever, so if you change the order that you put things in or whatever, so now your first reference is now your fifth reference or whatever, the software will handle that, and so it'll make it 5 instead of 1, and we don't have to do all that manually. So these reference managers are really great tools, and it's really good to get in the habit of using them early on in the process, so you amass those hundreds of articles early on, so that then when you go to write your thesis, you have a bunch already there. But when you also remember that it's not just about like the number you put in, you want to actually make sure you're going to the sources that deserve the credit, and not just relying on like not relying on just citing or review articles. So you want to see what that review article is citing and then go to that paper. So don't just go to the review article and cite whatever they cite. You want to actually go to that original paper. Make sure it's actually what you think it is. So the cite tool is really good for that too, to try to figure out whether a paper is actually citing something correctly. I've seen cases where someone just cites something, it's clear they haven't read it or they haven't like understood it or whatever, because they just like totally misunderstand the findings or misrepresent the findings. So you want to be really careful and remember that like when you cite something, that's like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like tweets don't equal endorsements. So it's not like you're kind of endorsing it, even depending on how you write it. Like if you say like these authors found this but, or they say they found this but, or whatever. But if you just cite something like it's the truth or whatever, you want to make sure that it's actually something that's reliable. So just something to keep in mind. And so yeah, so I hope this helps you, and good luck with all of your whatever you're using this stuff for. Blog post I was talking about where I have a lot more detail and things about the LaTeX citations. And yeah, so I will link to that in the text.